So I was chatting with my husband the other day, and he said to me, Sandra, your channel is incomplete because the people are watching you and they're probably wondering, like, but what does she do full time? Like, we know you homeschool, we know you go to Pilates, we know you travel, like, but what do you do? How do you make your money? So today I'm going to talk to you about the business behind the lifestyle. And the $10,000 business that we invested in and that failed in a matter of months. I'm going to talk to you about the other business that we currently still have that took 2 years to become profitable. And I'll break down my online coaching business that I've had now for the past 7 years. Most importantly, I'll share with you the number one thing that I tell everyone who is thinking about relocating to Africa and making money in Africa before you buy that ticket. So grab your tea, chow, and let's talk about it. So let me take you back to 2017, 2018, and I'm sitting at Children's Hospital with my oldest son, and he was sick. And while I'm there, the conversation that I'm having with my husband is, who's going to take time off? Who is going to take time off? He was already out of time off, and I barely had enough days. And it was in that hospital room that I decided that I didn't want my job to control the type of mother I was going to be. I thought it was so ridiculous that I would be with my laptop walking around Children's Hospital trying to find network and attend the meeting and apologize because the doctor came in, and it was like, that's not the life I want. That I know that I'm called for more. And at that point I had acknowledged and realized that I was already hiding in plain sight. So I spent my 20s hiding in plain sight, dealing with so much stuff. We'll talk about that in another video, but just know that I was hiding in plain sight, and I had started a few businesses that failed. By the time I was thinking about starting this business, I had failed at about probably 5 businesses. I had tried a party rental store that failed. I had tried a clothing line that failed. I was doing hair on the side in my 20s that failed. Like, so many business ventures I had tried that never really became a thing that could be a full-time gig for me. So I was working as a business analyst / project manager, making 6-figure. And the thought of leaving that job sounded crazy even to me, but I knew that I was called to do more. I had realized that I was really passionate about business, and I was good at helping other people build their businesses, because in essence, that's what I was doing for this billion-dollar company. And what was happening at that company at the time was they were downsizing. And so my department went from a group of 30 people to, by the time I left, I was the last woman standing. It was 2 of us left from a team of 30. That's how good I was at my job. So I knew how to make that company money and how to help them save money. And so I thought to myself, Sandra, what if you took all of those skills that you have and all the lessons you've learned from your failed ventures, from watching your father build his own business, from helping this company generate millions and millions of dollars, what if you took that and you actually help other people that may never be in those rooms, in those boardrooms that you're in, and help them build their own business? So I decided to hire me a coach. After that moment in that hospital room, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hire a coach. I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to build this thing. Although it's scary, although I don't know if it's going to work, although I've not seen a lot of coaches that sound like me, look like me, I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to see what happened, which is what I did. Once I completed that coaching program, guys, I got on 53 sales calls, got 53 no's, but on the 54th call, I got a yes. And I made more in an hour. That call was a 45 minutes call. I made more in 45 minutes than I used to make in a month. And that changed my life, because I realized, wait a minute, from my computer on the internet, I have the ability to earn as much money as I want. One of my clients calls it and talks about it as printing money. I could print money on demand. So that happened, and I walked away from my 9-to-5, and I was running my business for about 2.5 years when COVID hit, and we decided, you know what? It's time for us to move back to Africa. We want to move back to the continent. We need to move. So I had at that point a business that was easily transportable. I just needed my laptop and the internet, right? I was selling this laptop lifestyle, and I finally had the opportunity to see that in real time. What does that look like for me to pick up my laptop and be able to live anywhere in the world that I want to? And so that's exactly what we did. And so the way that my business, there are many ways that coaches and people make money online, but the way that my coaching business works, 80% of my revenue comes from our high ticket offer. So we have a coaching program that teaches other women how to turn their passion into a profitable coaching business. So that's our 90 Days to CEO program. We have a mid-tier ticket program. Entry point is $2,000 for that program. That is shorter. It's 6 weeks and helps them be able to get themselves out there really quickly without needing the tech and all that kind of stuff and start generating their first sale. That's our Launchpad program. We also had at the time a membership that was a $27 ticket that people will enroll in called Coach Nation. I would do workshops, paid workshop, once a quarter for $99. So I had this system and still have this system that was able to generate me money on demand every single month consistently. At the time that we moved, I had a team of 2 that were located in Nigeria, so my overhead was not crazy, and I used one system, and my clients do use one system to run the whole ecosystem. I have clients who, for less than $147 a month, are able to run a business that prints money for them as well every single month. So the key point that I'm making here is that we didn't move and then said, what are we going to do, right? We moved already having the monthly recurring income, and so the move was not this huge thing. And I also understood, and I want you to understand this, that trying to come to the continent and say, I'm just going to find me a job when I get here is a big mistake. Can you find a job? I guess you can. Would it be enough to replace or even compare to what you're making now? Let me just tell you this. My son moved and works at a restaurant now in the U.S. He graduated from college, and he has this little part-time job. He makes more than lawyers. You know what I mean? Like, he makes more, working at a restaurant, he makes more than lawyers, a lot of lawyers in the Gambia, a lot of doctors in the Gambia, in Cameroon. And so moving to a place where you might make maybe $300 a month, and that's being well paid, is not necessarily what most people want. What most people want is to be able to continue making what they're making and lower their cost of living. And so making sure that you have that set up is so important, whether you've started your business or you start your business, or whether you're able to transport the current job that you have and you're able to work remotely, or you've started already a business locally that's already generating money, so you're not making such a big life decision just to come and realize, oops, my bad, I made a mistake. It's taking so much longer than I thought. I'm going to talk soon about the 2 businesses that we started, how one we lost money completely, and the other, how many years it took for us to start breaking even and now making a profit. But before you start your coaching business or an online business that you run from Africa, I want to give you a heads up of things that I knew about, but never really understood until I moved. First thing first, the internet. So this is an online business, which means that it requires the internet to work. However, if you watch my video where I talk about 6 weeks without any electricity in the Gambia, you will understand. I mean, that was extreme, but you will understand what can happen when you decide to relocate to not just the Gambia. These are challenges that people face in Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Nigeria. I mean, in a lot of parts and a lot of places on the continent. So the internet was a challenge that almost drove me crazy. I remember being on a webinar. Y'all, a webinar is like an online training, and I had over 100 people on this training. And the whole point of a webinar is to teach and at the end pitch your offer. I was at the whole point. And it takes hours and hours and hours, and probably 15 emails that you send to your email list, hours of your time and energy. It's a big thing. It's a big marketing event. And we were at the closing where you pitch, when you do, that's the whole point of doing all of this, and my power went out. When I tell you, I've never had a panic attack, but I think in my mind that if that's probably as close as I have ever been to having one. I didn't even know how to feel. Like, I was stressed to the max. The internet went out, and although I had backup internet, the time that it took to go from one network to the other, that was about 3 minutes. But if you've ever had a webinar or a training, you know that 3 minutes is the difference between making 5 sales versus making 15 sales. So I have so many stories like that of how the internet and the power outage. There's a story of me making a sale. I was on a sales call, and the lady was getting ready to make her payment, and the power went out, and I was never able to get her back on a call again. So I've lost money because of internet outage and power outage running my business from the Gambia. Time zone difference is also a thing that you have to keep in mind, like what your new work hours will look like. So for me, my days are pretty long because I start at 1 p.m. here in the Gambia and probably don't end until 7, but I wake up at 5. But that's the trade-off that it's better than Bali. When I was in Bali, it was a 12-hour difference, and that was crazy. That killed my dream of spending 6 months in Bali. I was like, I can't do the 12 hours. We are lucky enough that the time zone difference between the U.S. and the Gambia, Eastern Standard is 4 hours, and Central Time is usually 5 hours. So it's not so bad, but it is an adjustment and something to keep in mind. So we talked about the bad, but let's talk about the improvement. Moving to the continent allowed me to be closer to the workforce. I was able to grow my team from a team of 1 full-time and the second staff that I had just onboarded when we were moving to a team of 7. That's 7 working on my business, but also expanding my household team, my staff, having a chef, having a driver, having somebody to clean the house, having all that support has really been very helpful. Having my mom around has been helpful in terms of the number of hours that I'm now able to focus, being able to have tutors for the children at a very affordable rate, having them being in private swimming classes, private piano classes. All these things have allowed me to be able to really focus on building my business. And I've been able to do things like write multiple books. I've been able to do things like start a nonprofit. I don't think I would have been able to do that this way if I was living in Frisco, Texas. Now let's talk about making money on the continent, because I've told you that maintaining a business, an online business on the continent is absolutely doable, something I advise every single one of my coaching clients and also the people that I consult that want to relocate to the continent. We tried, the first year we moved, we tried to start a virtual admin company, which basically meant, because at the time I had a lot of clients that were looking for virtual assistants and they will go to the Philippines. And so when we moved, I said, wait a minute, the Gambia, the people are super nice, they speak English, the internet is okay, it's you can get it stable. And so all we need to do is find an incredible location, a place where people want to work, have solid internet, have some laptops, and we are able to start this virtual assistant business. We had no problem when it came to actually getting clients. We got clients right away. The problem was finding the staff. And so what I didn't realize at the time is that I thought, because most of my workforce came from Nigeria, and a lot of the time they already know how to use Canva, how to send emails, how to do social media. They have a lot of the basic skills that a virtual assistant would need, and so I assume it would be the same here in the Gambia, and I was wrong. At least the people that I found needed training, at least 3 to 4 almost 6 months of training before they could start generating income and be independent on a project. And I was like, that is not the business. I was not trying to start a training center. I was thinking turnkey, we find a contract, we match it to your admin, and boom, 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 is ready, we go. But that was not what I found. So we lost a lot of money. We had put money down already for 1 year for the location. We had remodeled the whole place. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. We had gotten the laptops, everything that was needed. We spent a lot of money getting this business up and running. The months that it was running and not generating revenue, the amount of time and energy it took me and my team to put it together, we lost lots of money. Time and energy putting this together and failing. I misunderstood the market. So about 6 months to 9 months in, I was like, okay, it's time to throw in the towel and cut our losses and move forward to the next thing. The second business opportunity and idea that we came up with about, I would say maybe 3 years living in the Gambia was a security company. We were unfortunately robbed, and we started looking for outside security, like an actual proper security company. And we tried a few and we didn't have good. It wasn't good, child. It wasn't good. It was not good at all. And so I thought to myself, well, maybe we can do this, because my mom used to own a security company in Cameroon, a very successful one that she ran for years and years. And so talking to her, talking to my husband, we were like, we should try this. And so we started Fox Eye Security from that challenge of trying to find a reliable security company that you could get on a call, that could come out and be able to communicate, child. So we started Fox Eye Security. And I got to tell you, it took us about a year to be able to get all the licensing. I didn't know that. I didn't know it takes that long, because in the U.S., everything is online, boom, 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 you do the steps. It took about a year and a half to start the business. It took about another 6 months to get our first contract. And I would say took probably another 6 months to a year to break even and be at a place where it's like, okay, it's breaking even and is now profitable. It was quite a learning curve because it's a business that's obviously contract based. So the more contracts you have, the more you make, but then the more staff you have to manage. And it's managing people. You know, we are now at a place where we have about 100 staff. I think we are nearing 100 staff. And it's a lot. My husband primarily runs that business. It's his baby. I give him all the props in the world because it is very different than running an online business. Online business, it's service-based, but it's online. I don't have 100 staff, right, that I'm dealing with. And so that has been quite a learning curve for the both of us, but specifically for him, and he's been doing an incredible job. I share that to say that when you're thinking about starting a business on the continent, I don't care what nobody tells you. If they say it's going to take 6 months, tell yourself it's going to take 2 years. It's going to take you longer than you think to actually have it going, and it's going to take you longer than you think for it to break even, and even longer than you think for it to be profitable, which is why a lot of people that move end up exiting. Because think about our journey. The one business that failed, then finding the next business, having it get approved and legal and all the things, and then the time that it took for it to break even and to now be profitable. Think about that journey. That's almost 3 years. And so if you came in with no other source of income coming in, how long before you run out of your savings? So I go back and always say that you can live in Africa, you can move in Africa and make money. I hear a lot of people talking about moving to Africa, starting a business, agriculture, and this and that, and not a lot of people talking about moving to Africa and living in Africa while making money from other places. Very much like Bali has become this place for digital nomad, where they're able to be making money with clients in the US. Because in the US, in the UK, in Europe, while they're living in Bali with a lower cost of living, and they're able to live their best life, I want you to think about that option as well, that you could be physically here while you're making your money from either your job that you still have because you're able to work remotely, or your business that's a global business that does not rely necessarily of you making money in the country you are in while you are building the businesses here without putting the pressure of a business having to make you money on day one. Because I don't know what that business is. I've not met a business that you can start today and make money tomorrow. But I think that in Africa, even there's so many more challenges and nuances if you're going to want to grow a business. I heard one of our friends who has a very successful business here in the Gambia say 5 years. That all of his mentors said, you got to give it 5 years. And so the question becomes, do you have 5 years? Do you have 5 years saved up that's going to allow you to be here and live? Or could you start a business that allows you to live anywhere in the world, make as much money as you want, right? While you make roots and build these businesses locally. That's what I've been able to do. And that's what I teach my clients how to do as well. Now, one of the questions, too, that you might be asking yourself is, do I need then to make 10K, 20K a month to be able to live on the continent? Absolutely not. You'll see that I have a few videos where I talk about our cost of living, which is anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 a month. But that's our cost of living. My mother is on a retirement budget, and she's able to live a really, really incredible life that is super fulfilling on much, much, much less than that. I've seen a lot of people being able to live in the Gambia for $650 a month, $1,000 a month, and live their best life. It is all a matter of how many people are moving, what kind of lifestyle do you want. You know, your biggest expense is probably going to be your housing. Do you already have your housing? Because if you already have your housing, then what are we talking about? At that point, your bills go drastically lower. So no, you don't need thousands of dollars to be able to relocate to the Gambia. Absolutely not. You do not. Okay? You do not. So let me talk specifically to the woman who has been saving up her money, okay, for this dream of relocating to Africa. And you're watching these videos, you're watching all these videos, like my videos or other creator videos. You're like, I'm just going to move. I'm going to start my YouTube channel. I'm going to blow up. I'm just going to move. I got $20,000 saved and that's going to be enough. Sis, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. What I suggest you do is start a business. Start an online business that you are able to do from anywhere in the world, which is why I'm putting together a retreat at the end of November here in the Gambia, where I'm inviting six women that are thinking about taking that next step, whether that next step for you is to relocate, whether that next step for you is to go and get another job. But the bottom line is, you know that you are hiding in plain sight, child. You know that the life you're currently living can no longer contain your destiny, and you're bursting out of the seam, and you're trying to figure out what's that next thing. What step do I take, Sandra? How do I even figure out what my thing is? You knew what your thing was, but I don't know what my thing is. That's exactly what we're going to do during the 6-day retreat. So the application for the retreat is under this video. Make sure you apply. I review every single one of the application. I review it. And then we get on a call and we talk about whether this retreat is the right fit for you and where you are right now in your life. So when my husband said, do people actually know what you do? I hope that after this video, it is clear for you that your girl, when she's not chilling and having matcha and Pilates and hanging out with the girls at the beach, she's running a full business. Like, she's running a full business that requires time, energy, attention, and all the things and the ups and downs that entrepreneurship is. And so it becomes really important for you to figure out what your number is. What does your family need every single month to be able to have the type of lifestyle you want? Nobody else's lifestyle, the type of lifestyle you want. What type of lifestyle do you want when you decide to relocate to Africa? And if you need help figuring out what that number is, we're going to also put a link for my relocation calendar so you can book a call and we can have a consultation and walk you through the exact steps that you need to take in order for you to be able to relocate to the continent. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It was great talking to y'all, sharing a little bit more about what I do and showing you some behind the scenes. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your week. Bye.